Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News, once again joined by the unbelievably adorable microphone monster, August here. How are you? Don't eat that. You don't want to eat that. Anyway, we've got an update. I wanted to get to this video yesterday, but we had so much news to cover, so we didn't. But we have an update with regards to the Guy accusations, Guy being the guy's actual name, from the Golden Bachelorette. Golden Bachelorette's Guy Gansert, he speaks out now after his ex-wife's past restraining order and says, this doesn't represent who I am. I'll share exactly what he said. As you guys know from the video we made several days ago, I'll show you the thumbnail right here from this video, we discussed the possible nuance in the restraining order. And by nuance, I mean the fact that it really was just a couple that was married for 34 years. Hold on, passing the baby off. Goodbye, son. It was a couple that was married for 34 years, having essentially what looks like an altercation outside of a gym after she moved on with her new boyfriend. And, she made some accusations about him that were just that. They were never proven. And they both dropped their restraining order. Now, a lot of times people drop a restraining order after, mutual conversation, dust settling, things going down. We've now covered 4 different restraining orders, at least in the Bachelor world. Colton Underwood, Devin, this other guy, Gil, who's got a current one, and this guy, Guy. Now, how the hell could you possibly rank each of them? But let's try. They're different. And as far as resolution goes, the Devin one was very bad. That was a very bad one. He was violating the restraining order, all these different issues. The Colton one was bad, yet not violent. Stalking, and it was also settled before it got to the permanent restraining order level. The Devin one was actually similar to this one in that they ended up not going through with the restraining order. They did a mutual order saying we're both going to not contact each other. And then the Gil one seems to be pretty sinister, and I don't even want to rank them because that one's still going. So again, restraining orders are meant to protect people. They're meant to keep people away from each other. They're meant to get on paper. Obviously people with restraining orders can still stalk and all these things, but at least there's a framework to punish somebody for violating that. It's kind of like the court system saying, knock it off, stop talking to each other. So no surprise that Guy tried to get his sealed while he was on Golden Bachelorette. I mean, this is a guy, he goes into the public for the first time as an ER doctor, and he knows that anyone can find this. Well, the Sun did. So I always say this with an abundance of caution, that I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt, but also knowing sometimes people's darkest times are caught in the court system. And I think it's pretty telling that he and his ex-wife didn't want this to be public. They kind of just moved on with their life. So here's what he had to say. It's in the People magazine. And, some people will say, well, should he have even commented because only the Sun, but all the social media, basically anyone in the Bachelor world started picking up on this story. And again, anyone with nuance, I think, realized it was, someone during their darkest time having a, kerfuffle as they were going through a divorce. Golden Bachelorette's Guy Gansert speaks out on ex-wife's past restraining order. This does not represent who I am. Well, rather than read a butchered version of what he actually said, let's go to the source. And he posted this, but I'm just going to share at bachelornation.scoop, sharing it. I would like to respond to articles about a personal matter from 2021. This was an unfortunate situation that occurred during an incredibly stressful time for me and my former spouse, and was ultimately resolved when she voluntarily dismissed her request for a protective order. Together, we crafted a resolution that was agreeable to both parties. My ex-wife and I recently asked the court to seal her application for the protective order, as we had hoped to maintain privacy for our family. But I know that with being in the public eye comes responsibility. My ex-wife and I were married for 34 years, and in that time had 4 children who we raised together and deeply love. They are my greatest accomplishment. My divorce was extremely difficult for me and led me to a very low point in my life, and as a result, I acted in a way that does not represent who I am. The past few years have caused me to conduct a deep personal evaluation, and I will always continue to work to improve myself. I'm so appreciative of the Golden Bachelorette and Bachelor Nation, as well as my family, who have been exceptionally supportive during the most difficult times of my life, and I am eternally grateful for them. My channel has kind of been a place where we save space for people to grow. and for people to overcome their darker sides and be the best version of themselves. I don't think it's unfair for the Sun to pull up this restraining order because of the fact that it's a TV show where the one thing you don't want is to have contestants that have had problematic relationships. But the issue that I'm seeing with the Golden Bachelor series is that you're taking dozens of people that have all been dating for 40 plus years or been in relationships and had issues and whatever, and you're trying to find a clean record for these people. That's a long time living. So it's one thing, someone like Devin, you go, well, he did something super reckless, super toxic. I hope he's a better version of himself. But then you see the current version of Devin and you go, yeah, he kind of doubles down and he's kind of a dick. He's kind of all these things. And so I try my best to leave space to get enough sample size to judge people. And then I just give my opinion. And with Devin, I was unwilling to judge based on the TV show's edit, and now can judge based on my own seeing real life and see, yeah, he's kind of like a petulant child. And again, I save space for that. Now, an issue that I've had with some of my audience, and again, we have essentially about 100,000 people that come and go, is that there is a small percentage of people that are unbelievably difficult to converse with, and I've decided to cut those people out of my life. And now I've said, well, I'm pursuing an echo chamber. And people are now saying, well, Dave doesn't have room for growth because he wants to live in an echo chamber. Here's what you have to understand. Just the pursuit of an echo chamber is enough to try to weed out the people that are extremely toxic to my well-being. And they don't understand, this small group of people, how kind of reckless and unhelpful they are to my health and my journey. So if they really wanted me to grow, they would do a much better job of presenting, different information than what I'm doing. And I, in fact, invite people to, hey, have a YouTube channel. That's why YouTube channels exist, because you want to get your voice out, different than others. I had a stand-up show last night, and I got to meet people. I had a stand-up show in Rhode Island, and I had people come from Massachusetts and Connecticut. Some drove 2.5 hours each way to come to a show. That's a 6+ hour event, right? 7 hours. And these people are so kind, and they take time to tell me their story about how they found my channel. And it's so heartwarming to see humanity transpire from something so simple as just getting on the microphone and spilling my heart and my opinion to others. But I have had to realize, and I've come to great terms with it, that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. So the other day when I got an email from someone and the title was, how can you be more like Nick Viall? And then the subtitle, and again, just a preview of the email, said something like, please consider the points I'm about to make. When I immediately delete that, I need that person to know whatever time they spent thinking they were doing a good thing is wasted time, because I'm already surrounded by what I believe to be a real melee of people I trust, respect, value, that have great moral character and fiber. So sometimes, like they say, too many cooks in the kitchen, sometimes there are too many voices being spoken that can possibly be digested. I've got my Patreon I listen to. These are people that just by paying a couple bucks a month have filtered out some of the reckless voices. I no longer read any of the comments on Reddit, especially in posts about me, because these aren't people that have good intentions as far as growth and things like that. So many people out there, I think, want to just tell you will have the worst opinion of what you're trying to say. So how do I tie that back to Guy here? Well, I'm sure Guy will not be defined by this one thing. And people left comments saying, well, but he's an ER doctor, and aren't they the messiest? Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about people who work the front desk at DMVs, right? My TSA guy in New York was this, I mean, I almost fought this guy in the TSA line. He was the worst person. People with their jobs, especially when they're front facing, you see the worst version of people. You don't see the everyday version of people, right? So my point being is that I can maintain room to see someone grow. Now, if there was a situation where someone's like a wife beater, say, get them off the show. Go grow, but go do it on your own time. This is a show that needs to be safe for people involved. And how someone acts, Guy, after 34 years of dating, when he gets in a not physical, but what appears to be just a verbal altercation with his ex. I'm not judging them. You can do what you want. I will maintain that this is my opinion channel. You know what's interesting though is he said he asked to get the protective order sealed. This is an ER doctor. This is somebody who has probably quite the clout, and he couldn't get it sealed. So funny, not to bring everything back to Laura Owens, Clayton Eckert here, the paternity scandal that rocked the Bachelor Nation. But Laura Owens was such a liar and manipulator that she would tell me, oh, this Mike Maricini, one of her other victims where she faked ovarian cancer to him. We raised the money to, verify with lab results that it was completely faked. You'll catch it all in the documentary if you haven't caught it up by now, but we have a whole playlist. Either way, she was like, oh, it must be sealed because no one can find it. And so this idea that like documents were sealed, I was like, oh, it must be sealed. And then when I talked to lawyers, they were like, it is so hard to get documents sealed. You have to be like in witness protection. You have to know some sort of secret, things don't just get sealed. And as we see here, guy put together a good reason why he thought the documents should have been sealed. He's like, I'm going to be on a TV show. My wife and I have resolved this. It could be detrimental to our kids. And even then they were like, this is not grounds to seal the document. She said what she said. It's in the restraining order. It lives. So sadly with the internet, in a past world, you kind of just moved on and learned and like some of these people that think they're doing the good thing by like criticizing every move I make. If I could even begin to crack into their life, I'd go, well, why'd you use that word in 2009? Well, how come you did this? Or how, you could just easily, and whoa. And, then you quickly realize that it's very easy to judge others. But hasn't Jesus been saying this since the Bible? What's the quote, honey? If you live in a beautiful glass home, stop shooting stone arrows at people. How does it go? Don't throw rocks if you live in a glass home. Don't judge others. And I think who's the modern day philosopher, Jordan Peterson? What does he say? Make your bed before you criticize other people. I think that's what he says. Now, he said a lot of crazy things, but that's a good line, right? Who out there is leaving a nasty comment and didn't make your flipping bed yet? What are you doing? I don't even have pants on yet. I can't judge you. I'm not judging anybody till I put pants on and clean my underwear. And my son's underwear. We both have blowouts. We need to get to, okay. Listen, here's the point. It's a Saturday morning, and I appreciate everyone who is here to just listen to some thoughts on top of this guy's situation. Now, you might not like, there might be people that do not like the video I just made. Let me see if I can find the thumbnail. Here's a video I just made. I interviewed, I don't think this is problematic because I love discussion, but I interviewed a dating coach named Elsa Morek. She's got a big following on Instagram, and she wrote a book, and she's been featured on Bumble and other dating apps. She actually coaches men in dating. And you might say, well, like, why is that important to me? We might have an audience of 90% women. Well, it's very interesting. She found a way to quantify qualitative measurements. And by that, I mean, attraction just exists, whether it's the symmetry of one's face or their intelligence or humor or ability to riff on a podcast on the Saturday morning. I mean, it's everywhere, right? But finding what is attraction, whether it be having a high value job or high value social group, being able to quantify that means you can then try to build upon that. And I talked to her about that on today's podcast, The Rush Hour with Dave Neal. You can go listen to that wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch the YouTube version on the Dave Neal Show. And I just found it interesting to know that it doesn't even have to apply necessarily to the dating world. Like, I'm in a happy relationship. I got my wife breastfeeding right next to me, suppling the baby with God's milkshake. She brought the boys to the yard. She brought one boy to the yard. One 5-month-old was brought to the yard by her milkshakes. And that's more so not a metaphor. The actual goods, the lactating goods. Okay, anyway, my point is that even in the professional world, or the world of interviewing for jobs, oh, he's really not happy. The flow must be slow today. He's not a happy boy. Burp that boy. I don't know if you can hear him. But even in the professional world, or if you work in sales or whatever, building attraction is really about trusting each other, and it's about being authentic and the best version of yourself. So I think you could get something from it, even if you weren't a part of that. Let me know what you think. That's it for me. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you later.